On the ground in Libya, fighters backing the new leadership continue to pound what's left of the old regime's few remaining holdouts. Civilian casualties are still a very real possibility, but the countries quick to condemn Gaddafi's assaults on the rebels back in March seem to have gone quiet, as RT's Laura Emmett explains.
David Cameron and Nicolas Sarkozy survey their handiwork. The most senior leaders to visit Tripoli since their countries began the NATO intervention in Libya. They say their work is not yet done.
We must keep on with the NATO mission until civilians are all protected and until this work is finished.
He's right, civilians are still being killed. But now that Gaddafi is virtually powerless, the people increasingly doing the killing are National Transitional Council forces, together with NATO, as they attack Bani Walid and other Gaddafi strongholds. On that, Cameron and Sarkozy are silent.
To paraphrase George Orwell in Animal Farm, some civilians are more equal than others.
NATO insists they're targeted attacks, but there are reports of NTC reprisals against supposed Gaddafi supporters.
Clearly there are real problems on the ground. I think there's a legacy of such a conflict that you will have human rights abuses taking part on both sides. I think the rebels, the National Transitional Council, have promised to hold their own fighters to account, and I think that is a process that we will see from now.
It doesn't seem to be happening yet. The African Union alleges that transitional forces are hunting down and killing black Africans on the assumption that Gaddafi recruited them as mercenaries.
That's borne out by a report by Amnesty International, which says the rebels are guilty of unlawful killings and torture. It takes pains to point out that Gaddafi forces committed some terrible atrocities, but also documents a brutal settling of scores by rebel forces, including the lynchings of Gaddafi soldiers.
Meanwhile, Gaddafi's hometown is one of the last holdouts. A letter, purportedly from the colonel himself, begs the UN Security Council to protect Sept from being pounded by NATO and to tackle what it describes as crimes by the forces of the new government. Civilian deaths are seemingly assured. Cameron and Sarkozy were quick to condemn Gaddafi for killing innocent Libyans in the lead-up to NATO's no-fly zone being imposed, but no such rhetoric's being aimed at the NTC. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Britain sponsored a draft UN resolution to ease sanctions against Libya and against the National Oil Corporation in particular, getting the oil flowing again. Laura Emmett, RT, London.